Ted, so people can hear us. And I'm excited. I'm ready to take some notes and tap into this marketplace, which I've heard you share some results that have come in, but I personally have never really delved in and done anything other than creating like a basic profile for myself. So I'm excited to jump right in.
Well, you're like about 99% of the LinkedIn users, so I'm going to show you some tricks to show you how to make some big money on LinkedIn today.
Awesome.
So this is a presentation, the simple 3-step formula for converting high-end sales on LinkedIn. I originally did it for some financial advisors, and they loved it so much. Now I've given it a few times, and I'm giving it live in person quite a few times now. And this seems to be my most responsive presentation. So here are my 2 books, as Tom mentioned, and I'm actually writing the 2nd edition of LinkedIn for Business book right now. It's due September 1st. It'll be out next March 1st. So LinkedIn has grown from, there are over 300 million users now, so 150 million is way out of date. And they're adding 2 new members every second, so LinkedIn is really the place to be for business owners. And I have lots of articles on entrepreneur.com. They've taken my book and created lots of expert and great articles. So if you want to read more about LinkedIn, go to entrepreneur.com and search for me. And I was recently in the New York Times last fall. And they interviewed me about finding jobs on LinkedIn. And guess where they found me? On LinkedIn. So it does work. Last summer, I was on vacation in Lake Tahoe with my wife, and I get a phone call from a producer at CNBC. And of course, I thought it was a joke because he wanted to interview me about Twitter because he found me on LinkedIn. So I wrote a book about Twitter. And it was really amazing. I didn't get credit for it officially at the end, but during this documentary that's on CNBC, Carl Quintanilla, who was the host, starts talking, and he speaks for like 2 minutes exactly what I said in this interview, word for word. It's like, wait, I said that. I should get credit. But LinkedIn has opened a lot of doors for me. So here are my 3-step system for closing high-end clients on LinkedIn. First, we got to find them. Then we engage them, and we close them. And that's it. We're done for the presentation. Thank you very much. No.
Right.
Problem is, that's pretty simple, but this is how people interact online today. They find you and then they spam you until you buy or disconnect from them. I won't read this whole thing, but this is an email I got the other day from someone right after I connected, and he's talking to me about selling me dental marketing services. And I'm like, I've never been a dentist. There's nothing in my profile that suggests I work with dentists. So he's trying to sell me consulting to get more clients for my dental practice. And it's like, I get these more and more frequently. So this is people are like not learning how to engage people before they try to sell to them.
Yeah, you might want to reply back to them with Dale Carnegie's book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. How to begin conversations to get those relationships
Yes.
on more of a solid ground first before making those types of assumptions.
I've actually called out a few people. I've replied and said, we just met, and you're trying to sell me your service. You never even asked me anything about me before you tried to sell me. And a couple of people replied back, I got your point. And then one guy called me like a minute after his secretary called me. The minute acted, trying to sell me LinkedIn consulting service. Profile? And then he called me again yesterday. He's called me 4 times. So I'll show you the best way to do this now. But really, how often do you buy from someone you just met? So before I show you that 3-step process, you got to build that relationship. But really, like you said, you created your profile, but LinkedIn keeps adding more to the profile to make it more complete. So you think of your profile as like your homepage on your website. If it's not complete, it's really going to do more damage than good. Even if you don't use LinkedIn, people are looking for you on LinkedIn. So a lot of LinkedIn experts say your profile really isn't that important, and they kind of brush over it, but I really disagree with that. I think it's a key to your success. And I'm going to show you why throughout this presentation. Lots of good examples of why you need to have a really compelling LinkedIn profile. So think of your LinkedIn profile as your home. So Tom, think really cute girl moves in next to you, and you want to invite her over for some wine. So if she comes out of Greece, come over to your apartment or your house, and this is the first impression she gets of you. It's like, okay, what's she going to think of you? And if your LinkedIn profile is not in order, this is kind of the impression some people give. They put a horrible picture of them on vacation or drunk or just not looking good. And that's the professional image they're projecting. It's like Will Rogers said, you never get a second chance to make a good first impression. And that is so true online these days, especially LinkedIn. So I have really bad allergies in the springtime, so I went to the drugstore, and this is kind of what I was faced with. This is all for headaches, but same thing for allergy medicines. There's just thousands of options now. You're just overwhelmed. And your head's just kind of spinning, and you're just thinking, I want to feel better. What do I do? So the LinkedIn profile is the same thing. Everybody puts their job title as their professional headline, which is right under your name. So this is kind of what you see on LinkedIn. Here's financial advisor at Wells Fargo Advisors, financial advisor, vice president of investments. Like, really, what makes you stand out? I don't really see any differentiation between these guys. They all have professional pictures. They have their name. And, well, Mark E, depends on your level of LinkedIn, what I pay for, basically. But nothing stands out here. And this is what people see. They see your picture, your name, and that professional headline it's called. So all these people, these are different places it shows up in the sidebar on LinkedIn. So this is like your Google ad or your Facebook ad on LinkedIn, your profile. So you need to catch their attention right here, because they're not going to click on it and say financial advisor, financial advisor, financial advisor, who cares? So your goal is to make them want to click on your profile and learn more about you. This is my friend Rob Brown. He helps financial advisors. He's a coach for them. So he guarantees he'll grow the business of financial advisors 30% or more per year, guaranteed. That's his USP. He just puts it right out there. He says, if I can't help you, you get your money back. So that's going to make you want to click on Rob's profile to learn more about him. I said, like, probably 99% of people just put their job title there or keywords so they rank well in the searches, which isn't a bad way to go, but it's just a bunch of words there. It doesn't really catch my attention. Another thing they do, they recently had this last year, add interests in here so people get to know you. And I'll show you later in the presentation why this is important, really for connecting with people. But just take a moment, add these interests in there, and it helps people get to know you and build a bond right from your profile. And Tom, if there's any questions that come up, feel free to just jump in and ask them as we go along. Got lots of material.
Cool.
Here's another thing you want to do. On your sidebar, when you're editing your profile, looking at your profile, they tell you what level you're at for filling out your profile. You want to get to this all-star level, because once you get to this level, you start appearing in the LinkedIn search results more often. LinkedIn doesn't officially say that, but from my experience and lots of experience from other LinkedIn experts, your profile really takes off when you get to all-star level. So it's kind of like the Google search results. You want to rank well, and once you get all-star, you start ranking better in LinkedIn. So your profile is now in order, so it's time to start finding new clients. And really the whole objective of LinkedIn, you either want to find people or you want to get found by them. That's really, it boils down to those two things. So think of it, it's a giant search engine, just like Google, but it's all business contacts. Now we're going to find them. But before you start searching, do you know who you're looking for? And I bet 80% of clients I work with, I ask them, who's your ideal client? And they can't answer it. They're just like stunned when I ask them that question. Like, really? You don't know, you don't have a niche, or you haven't thought through it? I said, no, really. So really you got to just figure out. There's lots of, you can search on Google for this. ideal client profile, lots of templates out there that helps you just drill down and identify exactly who you're looking for, who's your ideal client. And also I have my clients brainstorm a list of who are your best clients and what are their characteristics. And also who are your worst clients, because you don't want to work with them. So you just really go through the process of identifying who is your perfect client. So then you can start searching for them. This is the LinkedIn search box. They changed this last year. And it's funny, I did a presentation and I did all these screenshots of the old search engine the night before the presentation, and I logged in and it looked like this. I had no idea what to do. Totally embarrassing. They do an interface update overnight.
Mm-hmm.
But on the left side, that's called the smart search bar. So you can sort your searches by people, jobs, companies, groups, universities, articles, and inbox. And now with the new LinkedIn publishing feature where you can actually put full articles on LinkedIn, you can search for really good content that you can share with people. So here you're going to search for people, and it'll tell you if you only search for, it won't give you all the other search results. So it really helps you drill down and find people if you're looking for people. So if you just click on that, click on the empty search bar, hit the magnifying glass at the top of the screen there, it's going to show you your first level connections, second level connections, and group members by default. And I have about 2,700 people I'm connected to on LinkedIn. I kind of keep it small intentionally. And this is telling me I have over 3 million people that are first level. Do you understand the first level, second level, third, Tom? I'll go through that.
Yeah, I think I get it, but it might be worth explaining that.
Okay. So first level, we're connected on LinkedIn. You've invited me or I invited you and we officially connected. Mm-hmm. Now, all the people you're connected to that I'm not connected to are my second level connections. Mm-hmm. So I'm connected with 2,700 people. I'm one step away from all of their connections. So I'm already connected with 688 potential clients, basically, within 50 miles of my house. If I go to the second level, over 171,000 people are just an invitation away within 50 miles of my house. That's pretty good. Mm-hmm. I'd like to get to know Reid Hoffman, too.
That's pretty cool.
So I'm just that close to those people. So then third connections, that's over 2.6 million people within 50 miles of my house. I live in San Francisco Bay Area, so there's lots of people here, but it's that easy for me to connect with that many people through invitations. And I'll show you how to do that here in a bit. So you can really drill down in the search. And people don't realize LinkedIn is a powerful search engine. And then group members, within 50 miles of my house, there's 49,000 people I'm in groups with. And when you connect with somebody in a group, you can email them directly within LinkedIn, and you don't have to be actually connected in LinkedIn. So it's a great way to connect with people that you want to get to know. And they keep adding more and more search criteria on the left side here. And then basically they have the premium services now. So the more money you pay, the more data they'll show you. And I highly recommend getting at least the business account, which I think is $29 a month. If you pay by the year, you get 2 months free. But it gives you lots of great data and lots of great information about your profile. So say I want to get a consulting gig at Apple. So what I can do is search current company Apple, and it tells me there's 47,000 people in my network that are connected with Apple in some way or currently at Apple. So what I'll do, I'll go down this list and you see the top two I'm connected with because I can send them a message, and the rest of them I had not connected with. So I could contact Ingrid or Keith Wellman and say, hey, do you know anybody in marketing at Apple? I'd like to help them with their pay-per-click campaigns or something. So one way to do that is look at how many shared connections I have with Keith. So what I can do, I can ask Keith, and maybe he doesn't know anybody in marketing, but I can start looking at these shared connections. And here are the shared connections we have. So I could ask you, Tom. I could say, hey, do you know anybody in marketing at Apple? Or Jack Humphrey, any of these people. So there's 76 people in my network that are related, that have connected with Keith. So you kind of just keep drilling down and say, can you introduce me to someone at Apple? Or any company for that sake. So it's just incredible the amount of data here. And most people don't understand this.
Yeah, my mind's racing, Ted, because I've never, like I said, I have my profile, which I'm pretty proud of. It's got a nice little tag similar to your friend that you mentioned, not a job title, but it kind of gives my USP in it. So I have a lot of people connecting with me, but I don't do anything with it. And now my brain is rolling like, okay, how can I benefit from this? How can I use this? So as I saw it, that's kind of how my mind thinks. I'm saying that just for the people who are listening. So Ted, just probably, if it's fairly new to me, it's probably fairly new to many who are listening. So as you're watching this, just think of this. Okay, how can I apply this to my target market, to my ideal clients that Ted discussed earlier, and how would I go about having this progress my business and my results? And as he said, as Ted said in the beginning, for your higher end clients, think big. I mean, he just showed the example if he wanted to connect with Apple, and that's thinking big. So similarly, use this to see how you can, okay, if I can meet with pretty much anybody, who would I want to meet with? And where would I want to make connections that could help me grow my results, impact positively more people, etc. So that's how my mind's rolling. I just want to share that with you if you're listening and watching this. Think about that as well as Ted continues showing stuff that I've never seen before.
Yeah, this morning I'm looking for some salespeople to interview for my second book to see how they use LinkedIn. Mm-hmm. So I sent 2 emails to people I haven't talked to in like 10 years. And they both got back to me within 10 minutes. And they say, well, I'll check with my sales team and we'll see. We don't really have a strategy. Would you like to help us with that?
There you go.
And one was Adobe, was one of the companies. It's like, okay, so a 5 minutes, it was like 1 minute it took me to send the email, literally. And now I have my foot in the door at Adobe, help their sales teams. So.
Yeah, and that example you just shared, Ted, my mind to think, okay, back in the day, because I've been in sales since the early 90s, and I had massive amounts of business cards, and I had them all organized properly, and then that went from analog to digital where I used Axe TRM. I don't use them anymore. All those contacts are fairly lost in my mind. Now, as you just said, you just sent an email to 2 people that you haven't really communicated with in 10 years. This could now be like, I bet if I did some searching, I would find first level, second level connections that I've had a conversation with that could be big to help me or help facilitate some massive growth in the upcoming year.
Exactly. So the next trick you do, you search for Apple and you look at group members. And like I said, when you're in a group with somebody, they may not know you, but a lot of these groups have hundreds of thousands of members. So once you join that group, you can email all those people through LinkedIn. And with the right introduction, if you don't just spam them like that one guy did to me with the dental services, they say there's an 80% open rate on mail you send through LinkedIn. If people know you from a group, you just start out and say, hey, we're in the same group together. You mention that group and start off the conversation that way. And they said 80% of the time they'll open that email and get back to you. And here within just my people, current or past, employees of Apple that are group members in groups that I'm in, it's over 3,300 people. So what I'll do, I'll just go down this list again. Who am I connected to already? Where it says message, we're connected. If it says I need to connect, I can reach out and connect with that person or get introduced. So I go down this list and I know Kelly Daigle. We used to work together. So I'll start there. We worked together for a couple of years at a previous company, so I look at her profile and see on the right side it says people similar to Kelly. There's people also viewed. The LinkedIn algorithm does all the work for you. It matches all these people up based on data in their profile. So here it tells you exactly what we have in common. We have 2 groups together, expertise. We have 4 in common. 1 location, we're in San Francisco, and we work for 1 company together. It's like LinkedIn does all the work for you. You just have to interpret. So then I look at Kelly's connections, and what she directs to. Look, these are shared connections we have at the company we used to work with. You can hide now they're a competitor. They can come through your profile and just look at all the people you're connected to and start reaching out to them.
Well, that's something, like you said, that's a big tip to make sure that no one does that to you, but it's also a little clue if you want to be an investigator to find some competitors who you could then have access to their clients.
Exactly.
Right. Right.
And then I go through like Kelly's groups. I look at all the groups. She's in the software business, and I want to get into Apple and help them. I go through all the groups she belongs to, and I join those groups and get to know the people she knows. And then maybe they can introduce me to Apple. And then you can also follow companies on LinkedIn. So you start following the same companies. These are Kelly's companies she's following. So I start following these companies to get my foot in the door. Maybe not at Apple even, maybe some of these others. Page for your company, definitely set one up because LinkedIn's making a big push now. It's kind of like a mini website for your business on LinkedIn. It shows up in Google search results too.
Wow, and that's the first time I've ever heard that. So
yeah,
LinkedIn company page. Okay.
And now they have something called showcase pages where you can showcase products and services, and those also show up in Google search results.
Wow. Is it as good in Google search results as your LinkedIn profile, which usually comes up in the first couple things in Google search for your name?
Yeah, Google loves LinkedIn, so they always favor their search results.
Okay.
So it's a good way to get your company noticed in Google.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, here's
a couple questions coming in. Questions coming in. One from Joel Helfer asks, I had 200 people look at my profile in the last 90 days. Are these the best people to start with?
That's a great question. And if you have the business account, they're showing you exactly who came and what, basically what keywords got them to your profile. If they searched on Google and found you, LinkedIn tells you this person found you through a Google search and tells you what keywords they searched. So yeah, anytime somebody looks at my profile, I check them out. And another trick is if you want to connect with somebody like a senior level executive, view their profile a couple of times and then they see that you viewed it, and a lot of times they'll come back and connect with you.
That's pretty cool.
So yeah, if people are viewing your profile, they've found you for some reason, and reach out to them and say, hey, don't say, hey, I noticed you viewed my profile, because that's kind of creepy. So find out what groups they're in, or reach out and connect with them. Find out how you can help each other.
Mm-hmm. And yep, and with Joel's service, most of the people that found him probably found him and went to his profile due to what his service is and helping people get credibility and authority and stuff like that. So I like that. And then Austin asked if this is going to be recorded. He had to miss some. So yes, for those that are here, I'm recording it, and as long as there's no technical issues, it will be up as a replay. But we'll have our fingers crossed for that to ensure hopefully all is well. All right, let's go.
Okay, and here's the LinkedIn algorithm doing the work for you. It matches up. These are other people. If you hover over these people, it gives you details. It gives them their name, their picture, and their professional headline again. So this is where you get a chance to catch their attention with that professional headline. I don't care who about a regional sales manager at Acton Software, but if he had a compelling statement there that made me want to, he could help me in some way, I would click on it to learn more. So this is also in the sidebar. Same thing on Kelly's profile. These are people that LinkedIn says is similar to Kelly in some ways based on profile data, whether it's industry or keywords or skills. So now I can dig even deeper here. And I said I have the basic business account. If you go, there's sales kind of accounts, there's recruiting type accounts. So there's lots of different ways LinkedIn is making money now through these paid accounts. And that really comes down to the more money you pay them, the more fields they'll expose in the database. So you kind of have to decide your own. But for my needs, the business account is just fine. It's well worth $29 a month. Then there's the old Boolean search. Remember when the old search engines, we used to have to do our searches this way with the plus and the quotes and everything. LinkedIn works the same way, and actually the LinkedIn search engine's still pretty dumb. You can spam it pretty easily and get high rankings, like maybe Google was about 10 years ago. They're getting better. But if you do these Boolean searches, you get much better search results. And there's a weird link there, but if you just search Google for LinkedIn Boolean search, you'll come to this page. We're going back in time like 10 years.
All right.
So now we go even deeper. Remember before we put interests in there. So say you're a golfer, what happens when you meet another golfer somewhere outside of work? There's an instant connection there, instant bond. It's like, oh, I love to golf. Where do you golf? And you just go on and talk forever. So when you kind of find most people would hire me as a consultant, do their online ads and social media would be a director level or higher. So I search for keywords director for their job title plus golf. It's going to tell me all the people in my network that have golf in their profile for some reason, and they're a director within 50 miles of my house. So here there is over 9,000 people within 50 miles of where I live that are a director level and they have golf in their profile. I see I'm connected with, this is my first level. So I'm already connected with these people. So I can reach out to Fred Green and say, hey, Fred, do you want to go play golf? And he has the Golf Smarter podcast, so obviously he is a golfer. And then I can do the second level connections. So these are people one step away from me, just an introduction away, that live within 50 miles. They have director in their job title, and they play golf or have golf. They worked in the golf industry in some way. So I can strike up a really instant bond with them by just saying, hey, I play golf too. How long have you been playing? It just goes on. You can do it with any hobby or interest like that.
Mm-hmm. And it's laser, and just so people get this, and as I'm trying to grasp it, it's on a specific, how can I improve my business? How can I get relationships with people that are able to assist in moving my business forward? This isn't a general, hey, let me just go out and reach out to a whole bunch of generic people. You're using this to get that really clear of people that relationships with that can be mutually beneficial.
Exactly. It's not all about me just getting consulting gigs.
Mm-hmm.
It's about me helping them improve their business too. And that's really what I focus on, helping other people. Mm-hmm. And it makes a huge difference. So here's Jay Jackson. He's a second level connection for me. And he has golf in his profile, and he's a director. Or he has it in his profile somewhere. So here are 4 people. It shows 3, but there's 4 shared connections that could introduce me. I could try to reach out to Jay, but it's kind of like you go out and you meet someone, and if you meet one-on-one, it's, you know, you have some kind of a bond. But Tom, if I have you introduce me to somebody that respects you, they're going to like me a lot more, a lot faster. So when you get introduced, that connection is just almost instantaneous. Mm-hmm. So you can do an introduction request. So it's in LinkedIn. It says, would you like to get introduced to Jay? And then it shows you all the people that you're in common. And you say, I could reach out to Darren and say, hey, Darren, I know you know Jay. Could you introduce me to Jay? I'd like to help him with his business. I'd like to learn more about him and build a relationship. So Darren would respond to this request and introduce me to Jay. And if he didn't really know him that well, he could say, no, I don't, but Adam does. So then Adam could introduce us, who has a stronger relationship with him. It's very powerful. There's so many tools in LinkedIn that people don't know exist. It's amazing. So now we'll get on to engaging them. So we know who we're looking for, and we're getting there. So before I try to engage these prospects, let me share my LinkedIn story. So in the 80s, I worked for Digital, was the largest mini computer manufacturer. The first company to actually put computers in offices. And I worked there for most of the 80s. Then I went to Cellular One when they had only, I think we had 10,000 subscribers in the Bay Area that had cell phones at the time. There was 40 people in the company, and I was the first network manager. It's just unbelievable experience. It was great. Then I consulted for IBM after that through the kind of late 90s. And I had 2 young kids at home, and I was always traveling with IBM. And I said, I want to open my own consulting business, because at the time, if you said you knew how to get people on the internet or said the word internet, people just threw money at you. So I started setting up internet connections for small businesses, getting them on the internet, setting up their servers, and doing all their IT work. And things just took off. So the late 90s, like, unbelievable. Then the dot-com crash hit, and literally that 20-year career disappeared. I could not go back and get a job as an IT person because they just didn't exist, or the pay went from, I was getting like $150 an hour in the 90s, and it was like $10 an hour jobs for IT support after that. So that job just didn't exist. So I reinvented myself. I got into web design, and I became a personal coach, and I couldn't get any clients, so I went back to web design, learned that, and things just took off again. I was doing SEO and online marketing for companies, mostly small businesses. 2008, the whole economy collapsed. Most of my clients went out of business, so they just stopped spending money. And luckily, I found a job in 2009, which, like, nobody could find a job, but it was 5 miles from my house. I did all the online marketing for a software company. I did the SEO and online ads in 20 different countries. It was great. And we grew from 25 million to 125 million during the worst economic times of our life. So it was great. Guess what? They fired us. They wiped out the whole marketing department, outsourced it to an agency in 2012. And that was right when my mother passed away, too. So it was like the worst month of my life. Things were pretty tough, I have to admit. 3 failures in 12 years. It's like, I'm 50 years old. How am I ever going to reinvent myself this old in the high-tech world? It's just, the roller coaster is terrible. So I realized my business was dependent on the economy. When things boomed, I did well, and then all of a sudden the bottom would fall out. So I had to figure out how to recession-proof my business. So I thought, what if I could predict how many new clients I can get each month? You know, just like turn on the faucet, get a couple clients, turn it off, work with those clients. And right now I work with like 3 to 5 clients at a time. It's great. Sounds pretty crazy, but I was determined to create that system that get me off that roller coaster once and for all. I spent hundreds of hours on LinkedIn researching my book. I have to be honest, I barely used LinkedIn before I wrote the book. But like the 10,000 hour rule, you do enough and you get to be an expert. So I saw what brought me new business, and I just didn't see what wasn't working. The spamming doesn't work. So I bought a lot of courses. I bought books by other LinkedIn gurus and learned what they were teaching. Some of it worked. Some of it wasn't for me because it was really way too aggressive. A lot of them teach that aggressive techniques, and that's just not for me. So I figured out things that they weren't teaching, wrote it in my book, and I boiled down into this 3-step system. Find them, engage them, and close them. And that's why you're here today, because of the whole journey I've been on. So what did I just do? engage you by telling a story so you get to know me. So we started building that relationship, and this is what's missing in LinkedIn today. People aren't building that relationship. Now back to our presentation. So we found those prospects, and we got to engage them in that same way, really get to know people. So here's how you don't engage people. I came across this profile, and it comes up with this default message, and I'm sure all of us have 100 of these invitations sitting in our inbox. I don't know you, why would I want to connect with you? And they have this standard message. I'd like to add you to my professional network on LinkedIn. Your first thought is, who cares? Who are you? So I did some research. I looked at Joni, and see if you're in a common group, I can just say, oh, we're in the Coaches Training Institute. We're both certified coaches. So I sent her this little message. I noticed you're a certified professional coach. I'm a CTA alum too. I'd like to connect with you. Then I asked her, let me know how I can help you find new clients. Who is your ideal referral? And this gets such a response. They respond every time. They'll get back to you and say, oh, thanks for connecting. And after you connect with her, send that invitation, it's going to, based on the algorithm, present you another screen. And this screen will scroll forever now. It's like the endless scrolling screen. But these are people that are related to Joni in some way. We have some kind of shared connections. So what I'll do, we see Kevin Cohen, we have 51 shared connections. So I think, well, that would probably be a good connection. So I send my message. I say, hey, Kevin, I see we have 51 connections in common, so I'd like to connect with you. And that works every time. When we send that canned invitation, there's probably 100 of those sitting in my inbox. I'm not kidding. They just don't get responded to. So it took me like 30 seconds to write that email, and that's it. Just build your network that way. So here's how we close them. So I connected with Jean Jones. It was around the holidays, and she sent me a message back. Thanks for connecting with me. I'm wishing you much success during the season and New Year ahead. Now that's better than trying to sell me dental marketing services when I'm not a dentist. Here's another one. John said, thanks for connecting with me. If you ever can help you out with any of your content writing needs, let me know. Simple, to the point. Probably takes 15 seconds to write that. A lot of people have messages they have in a Word doc, and they'll just paste them in there. Here's another one. So this is, I'm not going to read this whole thing, but this guy, this is 1/3 of the email he sent me the minute after we connected. And he's like basically telling me he works with coaches and consultants, and he's trying to get me into a strategy session. I can only take 5 strategy calls this week, and I'm hoping you're one of them. It's like, and it really, this, I could do 3 screens with this message. It keeps going on and on and on, and it's all about him. And he sent it to me 3 times in 3 months. Finally, I disconnected from him. I sent him a message saying, you know, you've sent me the same message 3 times. Called him out on it. He never responded, and I disconnected from him. This is not how you do it.
That's a pump and dump. Spam them until they buy or die.
They hired the virtual assistants offshore, and they just send these messages over and over.
Yours, I think the key I liked about yours was it's simple. Like, who's got the time to read something like that? A. B, it's all, like you said, him-oriented, has zero benefit or what's in it for me answer. Yours was simple, concise, showed you did a little research, you saw some commonality, and you replied with, how can I help you?
Right.
And that's a whole different thing. And you don't do it just to say it. You actually are a giving and helpful person. So, I mean, if they did reply and say, oh, well, here's some people that would be ideal clients of mine, and you, knowing you for all these years, I know you'd be like, oh, geez, this person comes to mind. You know them. I see you're not connected with them. Let me introduce you. You do those small things, and just think about it. It's not like the quote-unquote friends in Facebook, which everyone in the beginning just wanted to get so many just to have a number there. What you're talking about is actually, as this slide shows, building a relationship. And with these people that you've properly searched, these are people that are influential, and if they see value that you're providing, and you are genuine, and you are helpful, and you are not just a one-way street of how can you help me, how can you help me, you're actually offering them help and following up with helpful information, which could be a book recommendation, which could be a cool resource, etc. And that is how those begin. And then if you have a plan in place, you can do the follow-up to engage them more and get them to know, like, and trust you, and see what and how can be done to assist you in bringing your results to the next level.
Yeah. Like Zig Ziglar says, right? You help enough people get what they want in life, you're going to get everything you want in life.
Mm-hmm.
It
Well,
works.
here's a quick resource that came to mind that I think might be helpful to you and everyone listening that's willing to go this route of what you mentioned. There's something that I use called Text Expander, and with just a few, like 3 keystrokes, it automatically puts in a standard message that you predetermined. So your particular one, you could have a standard message that with 3 keys pressed, boom, that auto-populates, and then you can add in the personalized stuff if you want it. So that's a cool resource for doing this type of stuff instead of having to hand type it out each and every time. Text Expander, you type out a generic one that then when you type 3 keys that you get to choose, it auto-populates it, and then obviously you just go in and add the personalization part to it for each of those contacts.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
That's a handy tool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not that hard when you just take that other approach of help others and things work out for you. So another thing when you do, I've discovered this too, when you add an image to your status updates, they get liked, commented, and shared like 1,000 times more. If you just put that same thing, visiting New York City today, or whatever, or just quotes, a lot of people like to put quotes. If you put that quote in an image, it gets shared like crazy. There was one Zig Ziglar cut I did. Over 2,000 people shared it, and it went to my 3rd level network.
Wow, that's a nice, good tip too. That's a great tip.
It's just a simple little, put the same quote that's in text as in the image, and it just takes off like crazy. I have it all. I have a lot of my excerpts from the book queued up in Hootsuite, so they'll go off. It'll say excerpt like every day, a Twitter quote or something I said in the book, and then a LinkedIn, and then it leads to free chapter downloads of the book. And it just, I have like 50 posts for each book. I have somebody writing actually 100. They're just taking my book and chopping it up literally into little tweets and social media posts. It drives tons of traffic to my website. So I see this one got liked 84 times, commented 6 times. It wasn't shared, but he just posted it in 30 minutes. So that's a lot of interaction in 30 minutes. So here's something. Ask them who their ideal client referral is. And this is something nobody ever does. Send them referrals. It's not that hard. Except for this guy trying to sell me LinkedIn consulting. He wants me to send me my clients to him. It's like, really?
Right.
And what do I get in return? He wouldn't answer. Mm-hmm. Introduce him to your network. I do this all the time. I help people out. I say, hey, I'm doing this LinkedIn course right now, and there's 3 people in cloud computing space. They all do different things, and now they're all working together because I introduced them all to each other. So they're complementary services, and there's so much synergy. Have lunch with them if they're local or you're in their area. I have a friend who is traveling to Washington, D.C. for vacation. So he looked on LinkedIn, he did some searches. He found some association that was having a meeting, and they hired him to speak. And it was like 2 weeks before the event. Their speaker canceled at the last second. So he got to get this whole thing as a business trip written off. He got paid to go on vacation. Invite them to go golfing or whatever your common interest is. So just go out. Like I see, Tom, you're always going out and at the cigar bar or meeting people or going to the beach. Mm-hmm. Same thing. Invite people to come down and go to the beach. Go for a walk on the beach. Mm-hmm. So focus on helping them with no expectations, and it all comes back to you. The more you help them, the more likely they are to do business with you or send you referrals in return. It's just very simple business. So conclusion, the profile, if you update it once a month, you can add white papers and presentations. I didn't show you how to do that, but within your profile, you can connect to SlideShare, post content, and then pull it right into your profile. And it gets lots of activity. And use those keywords in your professional or in your summary, skills, and experience. That's how you get the rankings. But put your USP in there, your unique selling proposition, or something to catch their attention in that professional headline. You get 180 characters, so it's a little bigger than a tweet. If you spend 15 minutes a day, 3 to 5 days a week, just making updates and sharing, liking, and commenting at others, your profile views go up exponentially. With the analytics now, they show you how many profile views you get a day and what posts and what activity you did that got the most response. So they tell you the answers. So they know it'll tell you what kind of content you're posting that your people like and stuff that they're not interested in. And just go into groups and help others by answering questions. Don't spam the groups because you can get blocked from the groups now. And if you get flagged in one group, every group you belong to, everything you post has to be moderated. So they're really trying to cut down on the spam in groups. And try to connect with 5 people every week. And if you're more aggressive, try to grow faster than that. But I go with the quality over quantity network. I don't want a huge network. I don't care. I don't want 10,000 people on LinkedIn because you get a lot of spam. I want to work with the right people. I have a different approach than most of these LinkedIn experts. They say grow big, grow as big as you can. Gives you a bigger reach. But I prefer the quality over quantity. That's up to you. So, what's best for your business. So if you see anything in the presentation, I'll help you make more money. I hope so.
I did, absolutely. Yeah, this my mind is racing on how I can use this. And I like how you say, it's not like you have to dig in and go on a 10-hour spree. You do it, break it into chunks of 15 minutes a day. You don't have to dive in head first and just go hog wild with it, but get your profile in order, get a little game plan in place of going back to that question put out there. Who is your ideal client? What are your ideal prospects? Demographic, psychographic, interests, job titles, who do they work for, etc. So do a little bit of strategizing and then go in and start looking through the searching methods that you show us. Seems very simple. And like you said, hit up about 5. It's not that bad. It's not that hard, and it can really pay off in huge dividends, especially as the beginning title of this slide said, your high-end clients. Obviously this isn't out to sell a box of Tic Tacs. This is going after clients that can bring in decent revenue. So for your high-end clients, this little bit of effort can pay a huge return. And one connection. I mean, it's not who you know, it's who knows you. And your network will determine your net worth, especially in today's day and age. You get someone who has no clue that you exist, get to know, like, and trust you, and see the value that you can provide for them and their company. It changes everything. That's my whole story. That's exactly how I have been able to live the life of my dreams since 2006, because someone who had momentum saw a value that I can contribute to them and their company and their people. And I plugged myself in, and my whole life has become incredible. No levels of success exclude you from challenges and difficulties, but I've been fortunate to have a lot of choices in how to deal with those challenges and difficulties as they arise, all from relationships. And that's exactly what I think is the solid takeaway from this presentation, which goes beyond LinkedIn, but goes into just general life. These are strategies you learn for LinkedIn, but think of who are the people that you need to solidify relationships with and make them know that you're important, that they're important to you, and what plan do you have in place to make that occur. So my mind is racing on this. So I talked for a while here. I'll turn it back to you.
No, this is just a fraction of the tools on LinkedIn. It's just they keep adding more and more great features that help you automate a lot of this. Can you set up those searches for people, certain criteria? You can save those. So every week or every day, you get a list of people that meet that criteria in that search. So they deliver leads right to your inbox. It's ridiculous.
Here's a tip. Here's a tip, Ted, if I could throw in. On my LinkedIn profile, I think I send them to my YouTube channel. And here's a way that's helped tremendously for me. from LinkedIn, people go and see the 250 plus videos that I have there and fall in love with me. So, you know, it literally, like, they I love what you're talking about. I know you can help me in my business, etc. So I've planted enough seeds out there to where if you pass them off to somewhere, that relationship is solidified from those seeds that you planted in videos and articles and etc. They dig in and they're like, wow, this is the guy or gal that I've been looking for to help us in this area. So it doesn't necessarily have to occur all through phone conversations, face-to-face meetings. That relationship can be solidified by the seeds of value that you plant in your marketplace. And so take that for what it's worth and ask yourself, how can I, on a weekly basis, add something of value to the marketplace, to the world? And when you do that, those add up over time. So people stumble across you or somehow find your profile on LinkedIn. You do what Ted shared with us here. Make sure that you just don't put your job title there. You have your unique selling proposition. You have something of value that's in it, what's in it for them to want to learn more about you. Then you word it in a way that leads them to places where they can go find all this value. And they fall in love with you and your ability and your service and your value that you can provide. And now when you talk, there's edification, you know, you can have testimonials, etc. All of that goes into a whole marketing plan that I would recommend to add to what we have here on the training we went through today, which Ted, I understand is the tip of the iceberg. We could probably talk about this stuff for numerous hours.
Yeah.
All the things that are in your book and upcoming book.
But you made a great point that LinkedIn is not the only answer. It's just part of the puzzle. And you get people to your YouTube channel, your website, your blog, so they get to know, like, and trust you through all this material you posted. Mm-hmm. So there are people who use just LinkedIn and they do well. But if you build that entire marketing funnel, you've got all that content out there. People find you in different ways. Like I get tons of traffic from Twitter from these little excerpts I post. It's just crazy how it works, but it works. So people, you can connect with me on LinkedIn at my name, Ted Prodromou, and Facebook. I have a Facebook group, and also I have a LinkedIn course. It's called Linked Accelerator, where I've done like 5 webinars. It's a 5-week course I do, and I recorded it. Then I broke out everything into these 3 to 10 minute videos. Now you can actually tag them and email like distribution list. So I do short videos in there. I get lots of good questions from my clients. So then I create videos for them. It's easier to just create a video and show them. So I go through how to optimize your profile, how to rank well, how to spam the search engine if you want to go that route. You can do some black hat stuff and it works. And I don't recommend it because eventually the algorithm will catch up with you and you'll lose all your rankings, just like Google. Optimize your company page. They're making a huge push. They just came out with new templates this year. So they're really trying to get brands. There's a lot of big brands that have lots of great company pages. Can I show you how to use this advanced search to really find those prospects, just like we kind of touched the tip of the iceberg here. And then how to use groups to connect and engage with other groups is like the big secret, because you can make so many great contacts there if you do it right. And then how to build that referral network. This keeps sending you business. Trust with people, they're going to send you business. Full live 5-week class. So if you do this $97 class, it's $297. I do it like twice a year. And LinkedIn changes so much. There's so much new stuff to teach. It's really great. And that's it.
The one thing constant in all this is change. Like you said in the presentation, you had all the slide captures of the screenshots, and then the day that they changed it was the day of presentation. I mean, it's never fails. you finally learn and get it dialed in, and they change the interface on you. So it's a continual learning experience, kind of like making a choice to be physically fit. You never reach a point you're like, oh, cool, I'm physically fit. I never have to worry about what I eat or how much I move anymore. It's all good. Similarly, with LinkedIn, the one thing you can count on is change and new stuff coming out, and it's always good to be tapped in with the people that can guide you and point you down that path. And as you mentioned with this course that you have, reach out for help on that path. So anytime you stumble across anything that's giving you difficulty or you have questions, with that email access, you can get the answer straight from Ted, who's plugged in, obviously writing the second edition of the Entrepreneur Magazine book on it. Not only is he researching all the other courses, but he's got a pretty good pipeline to implement what he's doing on his own, but also what he's helping and seeing through his clients, and all the other top experts in the industry that he's learning with and sharing tips with also. So pretty cool. So if they want that, Ted, they can just go to linkedaccelerator.com. Only $97. I mean, shoot, if you see this as a way that if you have those high ticket items, this can be something extremely time with us today. Let me see, we have some comments. If you have any questions, go ahead and post any questions to the right hand side there. I got some comments here. Tim says, Tim Alec, great presentation. Thanks, Ted. I'm going to read your books and act on the information. Joel says, when people go to my profile, I connect with them and give them my phone number and ask them to call me for a chat. I get anywhere from 2 to 4 calls a week that often begins a real relationship. That's pretty cool. Nice. Yeah. So yeah, if you have, and I know Joel's particular ticket item is around $9.97 to help people get those authority. And people generally want to talk with him because he can get them to be able to have those logos, like the network logos next to their name as featured in type of stuff. So that's pretty cool. Good use of time, Joel. I like that. So if you have any other questions, guys, post some questions to the right. And let's see here.
I saw a stat last week that said the average they have over 300 million users now. The average time spent on LinkedIn is 17 minutes a month.
Wow.
But Forbes said C-level executives are spending an average of 1 hour a week on LinkedIn. Mm-hmm. So the higher level executives are spending the time there.
Mm-hmm. That's good. That's a good stat.
It's a huge opportunity for us.
Yeah. And I'll ask this question. I know we don't have time to dig into that much, but how about advertising with LinkedIn? Have you got tests, or do you go into that in your book or anything like that, or is it mostly as a user experience?
They really need to steal someone from Google or Facebook because their ad platform really, I've had some luck with it, but for the most part, if you don't get a huge click-through rate, it's a pretty significant click-through rate in the first 24 hours, they stop showing your ad.
Nice.
So you don't get time, you can't split test or do any adjustments. It just.
Gotcha. So they're getting there with their ads. Okay.
The sponsored posts actually work pretty well. That goes in your news feed, but the sidebar ads get very little response unless you have like a software product with a 30-day free trial or a 14-day free trial.
Okay.
Those work well.
Cool. Awesome. Well, I thank you for your time, Ted. It's been an eye-opening and mind-expanding experience for me. My mind is now racing, and I'm going to dig in and fine-tune my profile a little bit more and review some of the notes that I took here on how I can more I'm not using it, how I can begin benefiting from LinkedIn. It's a powerful tool, and I'm excited to go try it out. So hopefully that's how you feel from watching this and participating here live. And or on the replay. Like I said, my fingers are crossed. All the technological stuff will work so that the replay will be all good, and I'll get that out to everybody who registered as soon as it's possible and available to do that. But thank you once again, Ted. I'm excited to go learn how to maximize LinkedIn. And once again, when can we expect the version 2 of the LinkedIn book?
It's going to be released on March 1st, 2015.
March 1st, 2015. Very cool. Awesome. Well, thank you, Ted, and look forward to chatting with you again very soon.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Thanks, guys.